It's just like the show. Yeah. So you're playing games like Red Light, Green Light. There's the Glass Bridge. There's I can't remember.
All the things I've already seen.
Yeah.
So you can watch that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But now we're in it. We're in the show. So it's you play as one of our favorite characters. At the very beginning, you get dealt a rule card. So you're either a waffle, so you're neutral, or you're possessed by the Mind Flayer. So aim of the game, if you're possessed, is trying to convert other people by trading them Mind Flayer cards. So you're essentially infecting other people. And goal, if you're not possessed, is to avoid getting any of those Mind Flayer cards. So there's a couple of different cool card mechanics that work.
That's also another trigger for the game. Well, money, influence, and control. There's a lot of money going around in that. So in the board game, it's a area control game where you play factions with asymmetrical decks. These decks have about 8 cards, but there's only 7 rounds. And every round you're playing a card. And once you play that card, it's out of your deck. So you're going to have to be careful about what you're choosing and playing each round. And the cards themselves have abilities that will manipulate influence on the board. And you can see like this mark here. If you're at or above that mark, you will have a controlling interest in that location, and then you get these effects. The cards also help you gain dirty money, and they also help you launder money. So at the end, you want to be the person that has the most laundered money, because that dirty money won't count towards the actual victory. But you can see like this is a card for one of the factions where it lets you stash up to 80k, and then each opponent though will gain 30k of dirty money. So sometimes the cards will have effects for you only, or sometimes they'll impact everybody else. And there's kind of different effects that happen as you go on the different rounds. So you'll see that like there's different things that go on depending on what round you're on. So this is probably out of all the Netflix games the most gamery, I would say, because of the kind of influence and asymmetric gameplay. But so it's a lot of fun. I think it's enjoyable even if you haven't seen the show, but if you've seen the show, it really does invoke the feeling of what it is. So you have different disciplines that you're building.
You know what? I'll risk it. Live gain and loss. So I'll take certain contracts.
All right.
So that'd be there. That is 2, 6, 8. So I do get the little skyscraper.
Nice.
And I get this little coin for master builder.
Oh, okay.
You can take it from me if you somehow build more skyscrapers than me.
Got it.
And this one is a. So it is now your turn.
Later this year, so it's either going to be like, it's probably going to be about November-ish, is my guess.
You have these dice. So basically, you're going to. Oh wow, hand of God. So you have 1 scrap and 2 clean, which means you get to circle 2 things. Try and circle one of the yellow icons, and then circle something else on that board. So you're still on the active board.
This is one that we
So you can't circle the thing you X'd out.
So you can circle one that's linked.
As long as the circle touches an X, you're fine.
So I can do this one.
You can circle that.
Okay.
Now on the bottom of that board,
Now that's your first one.
I haven't had a chance to play it.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you are trying to set up your books.
Or how would you recommend it?
So it is worker placement, resource management.
The way I usually teach it
Some of your resources
is because you start out in the action phase, I usually
you can
focus
be more
on
benevolent,
just learning
kind
the
of
actions first.
science-based ruler, or you can actually use
some about the buildings that you might build, because
Well, these come with the game. It has
yeah, these
lamination.
reference sheets, they're not laminated, they're made out of a different material, but you'll have reference
dropping
sheets.
that coal into the top of the
I
tower.
laminated just to protect
It has a bunch of
them.
stuff.
But these, but they're similar to these.
Yeah.
And the game will end if 10 bits of
These
gold
are
end up
pretty
dropping
close to
out
the
of
final. I
the
think that they've made
So
some
it-
updates in terms
It
of
basically means that is exploded.
like
in your
stuff
city.
that they deemed
So it's a
unnecessary.
neat
They
little
will need to
mechanic
reduce the
where
clutter on the
there's like a
page,
little
but
tray you pull out. and you
otherwise,
check with
once
the
you're
cubes
done
and
with the
stuff.
action phase, then
Once it
you're
gets
going to
10, your
basically go
city's
through a
gone.
full round
But
from there, like
laying out
dusk,
tiles,
night phase, morning
tiles,
phase, you know.
and building
And
up
at
the
that
city.
point, I would kind of read.
There's a one or two that goes to a square. So there should be one of each of these.
Because I have this little thing, and that way that they get pushed back to the
Mine stays.
Yeah, when you're already in the top row, it doesn't really matter. But like anytime like this weapon is used, like any of these zombies, it doesn't move all the way
Now
back.
both of them are going to move.
So now this zombie moves.
Oh wait,
now.
no, these are sideways arrows, right? No.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing. It just means like either one or two dashes, no matter which direction.
Well,
I don't know if you remember the game The Initiative from last year, from Unexpected Games. This is Corey.
Oh, it's the tax collector. This is us.
So he was
This is us.
Tireless.
This is you now.
The tireless tax collector, I can tell you. Gain 2 money, then steal money from each opponent that has less reputation than you. And it also affects down and down and to the left.
And then I'm up.
Last card.
What's cool is
I'm going to steal a
clear
save.
cards that you insert over another card, and it creates up to 3.
Can I leave this on here?
So it's perfect. Yeah, so there's a
And
bit of
then-
that. It's a little bit of
So I did my ability. What gives me victory points since it ends at the end of this round? None of them.
Creates their name and their appearance. And like I said, there's 3,000 really that get used each game. So
If I get any, like, does money matter at the end of
Money
this
does
round?
matter.
in
Okay,
your
so
hand,
there's
you
nothing I
have
can
these
do to
cards that
benefit me,
look
right?
like poker cards, so like aces and things like that. And depending on who you play them face
Right.
down,
That's
and
for
depending on
anything,
what
so-
cards you play, it has a different effect. But you can also lie
guess I
to
could
what
get
card you
another
put down.
punch then,
But if you
right?
get called out and you
And then
are
I can
lying,
just call
it's
people
not
bluff.
good for you. But yeah, you're trying to use the
That actually
game
might
that
give
you're
me more
creating to
points.
get this future tech like cell
Nice.
phones and other things like that that got put back into use.
And
I'm just going to call out 2 out of 3 of you.
Is that the max?
I believe.
Do you get extra points for having
Let me double check on that real quick.
And what's the release date?
The release on this one is September 23rd. It's $50. Days of Wonder. It's coming out. It's supposed to come out around October this year. It's from the designer of Flamme Rouge. So it's got a lot of that heritage in it. So it's a Formula 100, so it's more classic racing cars, and you are playing cards to determine your speed, and you have to kind of balance your speed with your cars, so you're not going too fast. And it also has a championship where you can actually string together several races, and you're upgrading your car as you go. So you can actually kind of modify your car and give it like upgrade the tires, things like that to make your cars better as you progress. I'm a huge fan of Flamme Rouge, so I like this. I like that whole card playing system for racing recently, and it's a new Splendor game in the series that's for 2 players, and it takes the rules of Splendor and modifies them a bit, and then adds a bunch of new stuff. So there's a great win condition. There's a new resource, the Pearl. You can see the board itself is very different. It's complex, but kind of like Splendor, where Splendor itself isn't super complex. This is a little more complex, but it's still very easy to get into like Splendor. But I would say it's not quite the entry level like regular Splendor is. It's like maybe a step above. But it plays at about 30 minutes, so it's not that bad.
Alright, this is Endless Winter. It takes place in the Ice Age. You have a tribal chief leading his tribe through the Ice Age, trying to survive. One of the ways you try to survive is you try to grow your tribe. develop a culture, migrate and explore new lands. This game is got a little bit of everything going on. There's area control, there's worker placement, and there's deck building. This is your player board. You start out with all these resources. These were each determined randomly. You get a card at the beginning of the game that tells you what you get. You also get another card that tells you your player order. Those are both random. You randomly get assigned a chieftain that has his own special power. Okay? The game takes place over 4 turns. Each turn has 2 phases. There's an action phase and an eclipse phase. In the action phase, you will place one of your workers, and your leader counts as a worker, onto one of the action spaces available. Player 1 will do it, then player 2, then player 3. Then we'll repeat it until the round's over. Okay? Now, what are the actions, you ask? I'll go over these real quick, and then we'll go in more detail as we do them. The first action is you recruit someone. So you put your person out here, and you do each of these actions. This action lets you recruit someone face up. This action lets you recruit someone face down, or not face down, face up, but he goes in your discard pile. You also, since it's the Ice Age, it's dangerous out there and people die. So when people die, you bury them. So you will have a burial ground where you can put your cards in. At the end of the game, you will get points for those cards. The way that's managed is through this track. The person with the highest on the track gets the points on the left for their number of cards buried. The person in the middle gets the second, the person third gets the last. Okay? This game is set up for 3 players. We go to the next action is you craft. You spend the resources and you get to develop the culture card. This culture will help you provide benefits. You can swap things for things, or you just get a straight benefit, depending on the card. You also can erect a stone statue to your gods. In order to do that, you would pay the cost here. You'd get the benefits. You could bury someone, and then you place that there. In the eclipse phase, you will now score this when that comes. The other action you can do is migrate. When you migrate, we're now at this table. First thing you do is you pay the resource and you put a camp down. Okay? Next thing you do is you can pay another resource to move a camp. The third thing you can do, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here, pretend that's there. Okay. The last thing you do is if you have 3 camps in a triangle, you can pay the cost and you can upgrade your camps to a village. So now these camps have a strength of 1, the village has a strength of 2. So purple will now control this hex. If green were to move that guy there, you'd be tied and you'd both get the benefit. Okay? And then the last action space is hunt. That's what everyone in the Ice Age likes to do, is hunt, right? So what you do is you'll turn over 2 cards here, and then you spend resources and you can buy these. So let's say she bought these 2, okay? The game is a set collection, and unfortunately you don't have a set there. So if she has 2 woolly mammoths, she'll get 5 points. If she gets 3 woolly mammoths, she still gets 5 points. So what you want to do with some of your animals is you want to tip them. When you tip them over, they die. So you use their meat. So say you tip this one, you would get 4 meat and 1 tool. He will no longer count towards your set collection anymore. But there are bonuses in the second epic where you can get victory points for tipped animals. But we don't have those out right now. Okay, the last thing before we get started is this board right here. when you get one of these action spaces, for whatever reasons, you're going to take one of these tiles and put them on the board. You have to start right here, and then you can place a tile next to it. You place that there, you get 2 food. If you place this here, you get 2 cards. Say red were to put his there, and I know this isn't the right order, but I'm just demonstrating. Say purple comes along, you can build on top of those 4 in a square. Purple will get 4 victory points for covering 4 tiles. Purple will get an additional victory point for covering one of their tiles. Red would get a victory point for covering his tile. Even though he didn't score it, it's his tile, so he gets to keep it. Get the point. That is a very high-level overview of the game. So now we will start our turn orders. And for this demo, we're going to force each player to do a specific action so that we can do all the different actions and people can see the benefits. Okay? First thing you want to do is draw your hand up to 5. And you can play them face up since it's just a demo. But they're in your hand so people can't see them. One thing I like about this game, unlike some deck builders, there's 3 cards you always start the game with. This way you don't have a bad draw and have a really bad first turn and you're playing from behind the whole rest of the game. So you always start with these 3 cards. These cards are variable depending on what you drew. Okay? So we're going to start with purple player. Purple's first. The first thing you do on your turn, and it says right here, is if you have a culture card in your hand, which you don't, you have people, you can play that from your hand. You don't have that, so you won't be able to do that. But we're going to play our tribal chief's first round just to demonstrate that. Your tribal chief's a hunter. When he hunts, he gets an extra benefit. So he's going to go hunting. When he hunts, he gives you a tool. So go ahead and increase your tools by 1. Okay. Now, you move him down the board. You pay a labor, which is, no, not yet, sorry. I didn't explain this. These are your labors. You could also spend food. These guys, all they're worth is labor, so you want to go and use those first. So I've just discarded one of those guys. There's your discard pile there. That's okay. And you draw the top 2 cards here, and they come down to there. Okay? Now you do this action. You can do this as much as you can afford. It's totally up to you. You can spend a tool and a labor to pick an animal card. So, spend a tool, spend the other labor, and take one. Okay. Now you can do that again. You can spend a tool, but this time you can replace the labor with the food because you're powering up your labors. So you can spend a food and a tool to take a cat, yes. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit here, but let's do it again. So you can do it as many times as you want. Do it one more time. This time take the mammoth. There's a method to my madness here. Okay? Now you get to tip an animal. So I would tip the tiger or the cat. That gives you 2 tools and 2 food. So you basically got all that back that you were just spending.
Okay.
Now, since you're the first player on this track, you get to draw a random animal card off the top and put it in your zoo, in your menagerie, whatever you want to say. And that's it. And that guy stays there. Green will go next. Green does not have any culture cards. Green is the recruiter. So green is going to recruit. He goes out here to the recruit action. When he does that, he gets a tool. Now, he comes down here. He can spend a tool and spend a laborer to hire a worker. So there's a laborer. Just discard it. And then you can spend, I'll spend it for you. And you can hire one of these guys and put it in your hand. This guy's a good guy to have early on, so you put that in your hand. Now, you can do that again if you want, but it's got to be a different worker. We're just going to do once for now in the demo. Now you can spend a food and hire a second worker. So spend a food. I'm just going to give you the shaman. It's going to go in your discard pile because it's the second one you've hired. And you also have uncovered, you can pay the food to draw a card, but now you can bury someone as well. So someone's had an accident while you're out recruiting. So we're going to play proper respects and bury them. So what you would do is if you have a laborer in your discard, you can take this guy, sorry, oops, they shouldn't be there, and you can bury him. So you've now buried one card. You want to keep that secret so people don't know how many cards you've buried. Okay, now, since you're the first person here, you get to move up on the track, and you get to bury another card. So you have another tribesman in here, so you can bury him as well. So that was your turn. Now we come to red. I have a culture card, so I will play that culture card. I can spend a tool to put out a slate. So I'm going to put a slate right there. Okay? Now I start my turn. My guy is the explorer, finds paths for us to migrate. He gets 2 food when he goes to do that, and he will go down this track. I will spend 1 tool to put a camp out, and I'll put that camp right there. Well, I'll be nice and put it right there. Now I can spend a laborer, this guy, to move a camp. And I'm going to move this camp right there. Okay? I cannot afford to do this because I don't have 3 camps on the board. But now I get to do this. I can move a camp and I can place a new one. So now I've got 3 camps out. And that's my benefit. So back to purple, I'm going to have you do this action, the craft action. So go ahead and put one of your purple meeples on the craft. Now, you spend 3 labor to buy one of these. You could spend these guys, but if you spend those, you can't use them for the eclipse benefits. So you can use food for labors. I would spend 3 food. Yep. And you can buy one of these cards. This one is a really good card to have. So take that card and you can use it right away. You get 1 food and you get to place a camp down. It has to be adjacent to one you already own. And you get to move a camp. This camp gives you no benefit right now, so you can move him out there or you can move him there. Either way works. Now, the next action is you will spend right here, you'll get a sacred stone, you spend a food and a tool, and you will get a sacred stone, and this one's probably best for you. This one in the eclipse phase will give you 1 victory point for each different color tile you have a camp on. Okay? Right now to give you 2. Since you are the first one here, you get this benefit. You now get another one like that. There you go. Now it's back to green. Alright, now we'll go to the eclipse phase. In the eclipse phase, sorry, what I forgot to do, the very last thing on your 3rd turn is you take the cards you want to play for your eclipse phase and you put them face down. So let's just say these cards are face down. This card actually got discarded when you played it. I would just use all your cards, put them face down, okay? Now we reveal our cards, and the player with the most number of hands goes first. So green has 5 hands, 1.5, 1.5, and 2. purple has 4, and red has 4. So green will go first. Then in the case of a tie, the person that went last actually jumps up and the purple goes last. Okay? Now, the first thing we do in the eclipse phase is we go down this track and get the benefits. So green gets to put out a slate tile. She would pay this slate tile, put it there, and you would get 2 food. Okay? Red gets to draw a card. And purple gets to move up on this track. Okay? Now we take in that player order, we go to the cards you played for your eclipse phase, and you get those benefits. So, green is going to get a tool. Then they get to move one of their camps 2. So he's going to move this 1, 2. He gets to bury a card. We will bury this guy. Well, actually, this is your draw deck. You can bury that person. Okay? That was that. And now you get to place another one out. You put that right there. And you get a food. And then you discard these cards. Red. Red will get 3 tools and get to bury a card. And I don't have anyone I want to bury, so I'm just going to put these guys right there. Then purple, you get to hire a worker and put them in your discard pile. You get to bury a person. The fun thing you could do is bury one of these guys, or you could bury the person you just got, but he's more powerful. And you get a tool, so go ahead and give yourself a tool. Alright, so now make sure you've discarded all your cards. Now we're going to resolve the terrain. Player order is green, so green will get 2 food. Green will get to place a slate tile out. That'll go there. Green will get to draw 2 cards, because that's what they did. And then green gets 2 victory points. Next is red. Red gets to put a slate tile out. And red is going to take this one. Sorry. I get to place an animal out, and now I get to take an animal, and I'm going to take the moose. Okay. Red now gets 2 victory points. Okay. Now we go to purple. Your tides, you both get it. Purple will get 2 victory points. And then purple will get to put a tile out. So you could put it here to hire a worker in your hand, or you can draw, you get an animal card off the top of the deck. So go ahead and grab that, and you get that now. It matches with your other slot. Now, the last thing we will do is we'll score our player boards. So green gets a tool because that's available now in the eclipse phase. Red will get a tool, but I'm at my max, so I don't get anything. Purple gets to score here, and purple's on 2 different tiles, so purple will get 2 victory points. That's the end of the eclipse phase. Now we do a cleanup. You bring all your meeples back. You refill this. You bring the animals back up to the number of players +1. And the key thing is you draw 5 cards. There is no hand limit. So drawing cards and having bigger hands in the second turn really set you up to have a big second turn. And that's a turn.
Thanks for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, click that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media like Facebook
and Twitter at DadBeDaughter.
And if you like what we do and you want to support us, you can visit our Patreon page. So thanks for watching.
Thanks.